Hello all, back in the shed again. In, on and gone video number 68 is what this is all about. Didn't do one last week. Sales have been a little bit slow, but they have picked up this week, and they've certainly picked up with the trainers, which really is the sort of like the inspiration for the title of this video. Trainers are really, really good sellers if you know what to look for, and these videos are all about education and, you know, telling you what to look for. My name's James Smith and I run channel JR74, and this is all about developing those side hustles, those little bits of income that can get you just that little bit more cash in your pocket, or cash to go into ISAs or pay for family holidays, stuff like this, which is in essential what all of this money that I make from doing this actually does. So we're in the shed. It's a Sunday. Sundays are normally the day when I do an in, on and gone. But I'm not going to bore you any longer. All right. We are going to go straight into this. I'm going to tell you about what has sold this week. Okay. Divided into two sections with a little bit in between as well. Talking about what has sold quickly. When I say quick, I mean within 7 days, promoted at 2%. And then I'm also going to mention what else has sold this week that didn't sell within 7 days, but is still worth telling you about anyway. Because there's absolutely, you know, I don't want you thinking that if it hasn't sold after 7 days, I'll put it out in my garden and burn it. No, all right, of course not. Most of the stuff that I'm stocking, though, I want to sell within 12 months. And there's going to be a little bit more about that. Seasonality. I'm getting to really understand the seasonality of products now. What times of year products sell really, really well. And trainers certainly falls into the category now. So let's crack on, shall we? I want to talk about what has sold well this week. And there's a lot of trainers in it, and you'll see why. When I speak about these things, I do it in terms of percentage markup. So my quick seller for this week in terms of percentage markup, or the best percentage markup, wasn't a pair of trainers, all right, even though the trainers will come in, you will see them, all right. It would have been nicer if one of them was number one, especially because of the title that I've done. But the award this week for the best-selling 7-day sales thing in terms of percentage markup is a pair of golf trousers, all right. Now, hobbies. Hobby stuff sells brilliantly. Yeah, I've said it so many times if you go back through my videos. People like hobbies. People want to do hobbies. People want to look as though they know what they're doing with their hobbies and wear the latest gear for hobbies. But they don't particularly want to pay the full price for them. And golf trousers, oh my God, if you go into a golf shop, the trousers are now getting northwards of 50 quid. And it's just for a pair of trousers. So it was no surprise that these ones sold really well. There were a pair of Adidas ones, and I sourced them for £6.06. They were a vintage source, and I sold them for £28.60. Okay, they still had their labels on them. All right, and I know now, if I would have put these on a few days later, I would have got a bit more money back, because eBay have just announced that if your stuff is BNWT, brand new with tags, they will cut the selling fees. Okay, I think that's sort of like a Christmas run-up sort of thing. But yeah, so bear that in mind. If you have got anything now that's still got their tags on that you want to sell, there won't be any selling fees for it. All right, I don't know the cut-off date. It will probably be 31st of December, but don't hold me to that. I'm just I'm doing that horrible thing, making an assumption. All right, I will find out for next week. Okay. So I sold them for £28.60, took an offer, got £21.01 back, £14.95 profit, and that comes in at a lovely 246% markup. Okay, now you know my target. Those regular viewers to this channel will know my target is 50 to 100%. So that one is a lovely one. Okay, a lovely one. And I will say this as well. That was actually an offer that I made the guy, because he messaged me, the buyer, and he said, do these golf trousers, are they a little bit stretchy? Have they got the elastane in them? All right. Now, that was slightly my fault, because I forgot to include a picture of the label, okay, with the material that actually makes the trousers in it. You know, because I'm listing quite a few things, and that was just a photograph that I missed. Normally I do photograph that. So it just goes to show how important it is that the photographs do show every aspect of the trouser. But I emailed him back and I said, yeah, they've got elastane in them. And I emailed him back a little offer, and he took it. If somebody messages you, okay, don't see it as an inconvenience, see it as an opportunity. You can send them an offer, and 50% of the time I'd say they bite, which is great. Okay, if you can hear a little bit of whirring and stuff going on in the background, the lovely Mrs. S is currently clearing out our other shed. Okay, so she's continuing with that, and I'm continuing with this. Don't worry, I'll go and help her in a minute. Now, secondly, pair of trainers. All right, so we're starting on the trainers now. These were a pair of Adidas Temper Run trainers, and really, in the titles of your products, you've got to have as much information as you can possibly have. Now, by looking at these, I wouldn't know that they're part of the Temper Run range, okay? I had to use Google Lens to find out. All right, Google Lens is absolutely fantastic. Do you remember that program called You Bet that was on in, like, oh God, it must have been the late 80s, early 90s, where Brucey came on and he brought on a member of the public, and that member of public would say something like, I can tell you, if you show me the configurations of the indicators and brake lights on the back of any car, I can tell you what car it is. You show me 15, I'll get all 15. And Brucey would be like, oh, we'll have some of that. Good game, good game. Yep, everybody, right, watch this. Do you think he's going to do it? You bet. You know, and people would win money if he could or if he couldn't. Okay, if he had Google Lens, he'd win every single bleeding time. I can tell you now. Google Lens is fantastic. All right, so you just take a picture of the trainers and it will tell you exactly what type of trainer it is for you to put into your title. So, yeah, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Now, these ones, I've sourced them for £6.61. Okay, they were an online source. £28.60 they went for. Nice. Okay, £21.08 I got back after fees and postage. £14.47 profit, which comes in at 218%. Ooh, I like that one. Google Lens, honestly, this is an educational channel. I'm telling you how to do the stuff. Google Lens is an absolute must when using trainers. Next up, a nice pair of Nike Air Court Ballistic ballistic, okay, 4.1 trainers, because they were tennis shoes. Now, as you know, I'm a teacher, and one of our PE staff is very tasty at the old tennis, and she told me that the tennis shoes, like golf shoes, all right, like shoes associated with any hobby, recently have just shot up in price. Absolutely shot up. It's like over £100 for a decent pair of shoes. So really, for us resellers, that's pretty good, because if we can find a pair of shoes in good condition, they will normally sell, and normally sell very, very well. Now, these ones fall into that category because they were in really nice condition. As I said, they're a nice pair of Nike Air Court Ballistic 4.1s in white and blue. I sourced them for £9.11. And I sold them for £28.60. All right, £20.74 back, £11.63 profit. All right, after that, and that leads to 127% markup. So you just saw the Adidas Tempers were a pair of running shoes. These are a pair of tennis shoes. They're shoes with purpose. Yeah, they're shoes that are used for a certain thing. They're not really fashion shoes, or fashion trainers. They're used for something. Because I did say to you, didn't I, in the intro, you know, the types of trainer to get. I would say the types of trainers to get: running shoes, tennis shoes, golf shoes, cricket shoes. These sell well, especially if they're in decent condition. So yeah, there's another nugget for you to take away. Number 4 in these quick sellers. There's 9 in all. All right. As I said, it's been a good week, but I always talk about these, and they do sell well. And actually, I've got a comparison now to make too, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But it's a pair of tuxedo trousers, the black trousers with the stripe down the side, that are used for like formal dinners and formal events. These sell well throughout the year. whenever I put a pair on, whenever I find a pair, I put them on. They are gone normally within a fortnight. And I would say waist size wise, it's got to be 32 inches and above. If it's below 32, if you like a 30, then these trousers don't really sell as well. It's 32 and above. All right. Now, these ones, these formal tuxedo trousers, I sourced them for £4, sold them for £13.60. This is pretty typical of how these trousers sell. That gave me not a profit, but gave me £8.55 back, okay, which is a profit of £4.55, all in all, 113%. So the top four that I've mentioned so far have been above my target bracket, okay, of 50 to 100. These sell well. Now, I've also got a tuxedo jacket on. Now, these are a bit more difficult to find than the trousers. It's been on now the shop for about a month, still hasn't sold. It's the trousers that sell. The jackets take a little bit longer. Maybe I need to drop the price on it a little bit. But I think what that goes to show is that the jackets, people can still fit into them quite easily, no matter how old they are. The trousers, it's different. People's waistlines are changing all the time. So say like if you've got a tux jacket that you wore a few years ago, maybe it still fits you. Maybe you can still get away with it. Maybe the trousers, maybe your waistline's either got a bit bigger or a bit smaller. Okay. And people are like, oh God, it doesn't, or the trousers are either falling down or you're talking with a bit of a higher voice. So you've got to go online, and people want to go, I don't want to spend a lot. So they go online to see if they can find these trousers. And hey, that's what I'm there for. Brilliant. Okay, so another nice sale there. In fifth place, a nice pair of Adidas Copper trainers, basically designed for indoor football. You could also wear them on these 3G pitches as well that are out on the banner. Or are they 4G or even 5G? I don't know if they're keeping up with the masts, but I certainly know they're called 3G pitches. They're the ones with like the synthetic grass and like the little bits of rubber in them that get absolutely everywhere. But anyway, these trainers, again, hobby-based indoor football. I sourced them for £6.16 and I sold them for £18.16. Okay. £12.32 back, £6.16 profit, 100% markup. Okay, because it's funny, and I bought them for £6.16 and the profit was £6.16. So smack on the 100% there. Yeah, these, again, it's the hobbies. You can see it. All right. There are some fashion trainers that I've sold as well, but the markups haven't been as good. They've sold quickly, but it's got to be certain types. I'm going to tell you about those in a minute. But these ones, football, good sellers. Next up, New Balance Fresh Foam. New Balance have brought out these, and they are basically the thicker foam layers that you're seeing on the bottom of so many running shoes now. I had two black pairs, and they were around about the size 7s. So I did market them as women's and not men's. But anyway, they both sold, and they both sold quite well. These were some fresh foam, I think they were 7.5s, ROAVs, ROAV. So New Balance Fresh Foam ROAVs. And I sourced them for £6.71. All right. They were really nice. They were black and red. And I think they were one of those that had just been worn once and maybe the person just didn't get on with them. But that isn't relative to everybody, because honestly, running shoes, they're like, they are a bit slipper-like. There's some that you like and there's some that you don't like. I know that personally, I like ASICs. I've tried a pair of Nikes, didn't really get on with them, but I know that there are some people that would get on with those Nikes and not like the ASICs. It totally and utterly depends on the way that you run and your running style. But these ones, £6.71, as I said, I sourced them for. £18.16 I sold them for, or I took the offer on. £12.38 back, okay, after fees and postage, which gave me £5.67 profit, 84%. Another pair of New Balance that I sold, okay, these were another pair of fresh foams, but they were Move V3 fresh foams. These ones had slightly bigger foam packing at the back of the shoe. Nice pair. £8.19 I paid for these. Okay, £23.60 I sold them for. All right, £14.27 back, £6.08 profit, which gave me 74% profit. So again, everything that I mentioned so far. So I am up to the 7th thing from the quick sellers, and all of them have been either above or in my target bracket. As I said, this week's been really, really good. Is it the start of the, I mentioned that C word. Okay, we are coming into the middle of October. Maybe I can mention the C word, Christmas. Okay, maybe the buying for that is beginning to move. So yeah, it could be, hey, next week could be an absolute squib. I don't know. All right, but anyway, it's been a good week this week. Okay, so I'll do two together now. 8 and 9. These have fallen slightly below my target bracket, and these are fashion trainers. They're not purpose trainers. And sometimes fashion trainers sell really well. Sometimes they do take a little bit of time. And you've really got to be up with the trends and what everybody's buying currently. I mean, really, these ones that I'm going to show you, yeah, they're all right. Okay, but if I was, they're not like the high trend ones. If you see all of the mums at the moment, it is the long dry robe coats, okay, leggings, socks over the leggings, and what they got on their feet, they're those New Balance ones with like the thick N on them. All right, that's at the moment. I sold a pair of those a couple of weeks back. They went like that. All right, so the fashion trainers, if you know what you're looking for and if you know the trends, yeah, you can make good money from it. But you've really, really got to be on that curve, on the trend curve, to actually make some money from it. Whereas the trainers with purpose, I would say, have got a bit of a longer shelf life. Anyway, these were a pair of Adidas Pro Conference high tops. Sold these to Germany. All right, the guy who lived in the Bavaria region of Germany messaged me saying, thank you very much for taking my offer. So you sometimes find that Adidas is so strong in Germany that this isn't the first pair that I've sent to Germany in terms of a pair of Adidas on the eBay GSP, the global shipping program. Always have that little slider clicked to on for, are you going to include this product on the global shipping program? You'll see in the listing section that you can either have it on or off. Always have it on. Okay, you want a worldwide audience. Absolutely. Anyway, these I sourced these for £10.91, sold for £21.60, £13.76 back, £2.85 profit, which is 26%. You could tell by looking at the bottom of these that they were in very, very good condition. But the suede on the front of them had just faded a little bit. But the guy actually messaged me and said he didn't want these cleaned up or anything like that. He said he wanted them exactly as they're shown on the photograph, which is how I was going to send them anyway. There's no way that I would change them from the photograph. So, yeah, that went well. So really happy with that. And I also sold a pair of Adidas Tisch Tennis shoes. Now, you might think that these are shoes with purpose because they're called Tisch Tennis. It's a Tisch Tennis, actually. It's just the penny's just dropped. Is that German for table tennis? Do you know what? It could be. It could be. Maybe I'll have a look. The penny's just dropped with me there. So maybe these are shoes with purpose. But anyway, they could be well worn as fashion as well. They look like gazelles, but they had a gum sole, and also the material in them was slightly more perforated, slightly more aerated. But they were burgundy, and they could have been used as a pair of fashion shoes as well. And these were boxed as well. They still had the box, but I did source them for £13.71. £23.60 I sold them for, £16.27 back, profit of £2.56, 18%. So those two that I would maybe consider as fashion, okay, maybe not anymore because the pennies just dropped with the old Tish tennis. Do you know what? I didn't think that earlier. All right, now it could be true because the gum sole that was on them could be a non-marking sole, okay, which is pretty important for indoor sports. Okay, all right, I've learned from that, learned from it. All right, even doing these videos make you think a little bit more. So those are my quick sellers, all right, all 9 of them. And 7 of the 9 fell either into or above my target bracket. So yeah, really pleased with that. Look, not everything's going to fall into it. At the end of the day, I've made profit on each and every one of those. So yeah, really, really pleased about that. I forgot to say, those New Balance Fresh Foam V3s, I did make a bit of a mistake on those. When you turn on the promotion, whenever you list anything, there is a section of the listing which talks about promotion. Do you want to promote these? And it will give you a suggested percentage. Now, if you click yes, it will automatically put the suggested percentage on. I usually change that suggested percentage. Okay, it is the amount. eBay will put your product higher up its list if you do this. And it will suggest like normally around about between 10 and 12%. Now, I take that out and I put 2%. 2% is the lowest you can do. Okay, now it will be a little bit further down the list, but if you've done the title properly and if you've done the photographs properly, usually it will still move. Okay, and it will still go quite nicely. With these New Balances, I clicked yes, but then forgot to change the 12 to a 2. So it charged me slightly more on my promotional fees, which, you know, you do think, whenever you do anything like that. But hey, we're human beings. I'm not an Android robot. So, but as I say, this is educational. So have a look out for that whenever you list anything. That is a slight one that slipped through the net. Hey, you live and learn, you move on. I still made a profit from it. So before I go into other things that I've sold that took longer than a week, let's just have a little bit of a sit back and a think about everything that's going on with this channel and also the reselling world. Firstly, I've noticed this week Royal Mail have put their prices up again. Okay, it's now, to send a small parcel with Royal Mail is now £3.50. Whereas with Yodel, it is £2.69. So there's almost £1 difference now in the cost of sending a parcel. Now, if you're sending parcels quite regularly, that's quite a lot. Royal Mail do seem to be concentrating on the heavier parcels because they charge £3.50 for anything up to 2K, okay, 2 kilograms, whereas Yodel and Every, they're below £3. As I said, Yodel are £2.69. I think Every are £2.96, but that's only 0 to 1 kilogram. Okay, if it's between 1 and 2 kilograms, they are more than Royal Mail. So yeah, the weighting of your parcel is really, really important to, you know, getting the best value out of sending your parcels. So always have a good pair of scales and always be aware of whereabouts you can send these from. Okay, in your local region, where's your Yodel, where's your Every, where's your Royal Mail? Okay, you've got to know that. And if you do live in a place where you can do all three, like I do, okay, then you are quite lucky, yes. All right, if you are restricted, then that is going to affect your profit margin slightly. But, you know, to be totally efficient on your postage, okay, especially if you're sending quite a few parcels, is important. So that's the first bit of news. Second bit of news, this is in, on and gone. Now, I'm talking about the stuff that's gone. The on is easy. I've got the link to my store below. But what's coming into the store? Now, I've got a bit of a discovery here, which I found yesterday. Now, I do say to you that I try and make this channel as honest as possible. There are many reselling channels out there where they're buying stuff for like 2p and selling it for like 50 quid. Yeah, that's not really that realistic. All right, I'm trying to give like a normal run-of-the-mill, typical sort of like situation that you'd find yourself in if you decide to go into reselling as a side hustle. This is not my full-time job, but I did find this the other day. This is a cricket bat, as you can see. Now, cricket bats, they're like golf clubs. I'm not a cricketer myself, but I didn't realise just how much these things cost. They're a pretty penny. All right, cricket bats aren't simple prices anymore. But I do know enough that this is quite a decent name, Gray Nichols. Okay, you've also got GM, Gun and More, but this is a Gray Nichols Kaboom. All right, so I was looking in the shop at it. All right, and I looked online, and these secondhand go for northwards of £300. I was really quite surprised by it. If you have a look there, it's in pretty decent nick. There's a little bit of a thing at the bottom there with like the rubbering on the bottom of the bat. Surely that can be fixed, surely. And it looks pretty decent on the back as well. All right, it's got a few like edging marks there. The paint on it is a little bit worn down the sides as well. But in terms of like the structure and the integrity of this bat and also the grip on top of the bat, we're looking quite good. I got this for £1. Now, I've been looking for an example like this for a long time. I'm going to put it on for about the same price as what other people are asking, maybe slightly undercut it by about a tenner or so, and just see what happens, because this is a brilliant indicator to show whether the prices that are actually put on eBay, are you going to get them? Are they realistic? So I'll put this on next week. Okay, I'll even do a video, a little short for it as well, like to actually put. So it's a Gray Nichols Kaboom Destroyer, and can you see there's a slight curvature to the back as well, and also it's quite light. Now I think this is a very light but at the same time strong bat that is probably well sprung, that can smack a ball quite a long way. Again, I think I'm showing my limited cricket knowledge here, aren't I? But I'm going to weigh it, I'm going to measure it and go from it. And as I said, it's a really, really good example of something that has been found and is the value that are actually put onto eBay, actually true values. So watch. But the grip is in, and this is the thing to look for with cricket bats, is because some of them, you see them and they're all over the place. All right, I don't know how much it is to get a cricket bat re-gripped, but I know that these things, okay, your bat, it's like your golf clubs, okay, it's important. So yeah, we'll have a look at that. Now, also, doing a bit of research, I did say a couple of videos ago that the reason why I call this channel JR74 and not put any references to reselling into it, even though predominantly I'm talking about reselling at the moment, is so that I can bring other things in. Really, my underlying idea for this whole channel is developing side hustles in your lifetime, okay? And there's two other sources of income stream sources that I have researched and want to have a crack at. All right, so please like, comment, subscribe to this channel, and over the next few weeks I'm going to be developing those two and talking to you about those two. One of them I'm quite excited about because I think it'll work, but I've really got to think about how I'm going to do it, so I'm not going to mention anything yet, but there are some more income streams in the pipeline for me to try and talk to you about. So yeah, I'm quite excited about that. Anyway, let's see now what has sold this week but has taken a little bit longer. First up, decent brand, also showing a bit of faith towards the game. The brand is Canterbury, and this was a ladies' Canterbury white British Lions rugby shirt from the South Africa tour. All right, the Canterbury Lions stuff, because I think Adidas used to do the Lions shirts, but I think for the last 2 tours, if I remember rightly, I could be wrong, it could be 3 tours, Canterbury have done the Lions shirts. There was that classic Adidas one with NTL written across it. I can remember Matt Dawson wearing that one. So if I have some of those, I think those will go for really good money. But yeah, I haven't come across any yet. But Lion shirts do go quite well. This one, £3.13 I got it for, so that's a really good price. Sold it for £13.60. This went GSP. This went to France. Okay, £8.22 back, £5.9 profit, 162%. So yeah, really pleased with that one. That was a good sale, but I think it was about 6 months that shirt was on for. So again, it's more of a fashion shirt. It's not really a shirt with a purpose. These shirts do, the fashion brand or the fashion type shirts do take a bit longer to shift. Next up with slightly longer sales, it's that place again. That place where people, I think many resellers ignore this, thinking that they're not going to sell. And I can tell you now, they do sell. Marks and Spencer's. They sell, and they sell really, really well. The quality of the trousers, these are trousers, the quality of the trousers is good. The fit of the trousers is good. People know what size fits them. Okay, so because if anybody who works at Marks and Spencer's is watching this, keep your consistency. Okay, don't change the size. You know, if somebody's a 32, keep the sizing that you would have for a 32-inch waist. Because you might be thinking to yourself, well, 32 inches is 32 inches. Hey, different manufacturers take these numbers in different sizes with a pinch of salt. I always put the actual measurements onto my like trouser measurements. Whenever I list a pair of trousers, the description will show the true measurements. But Marks and Spencer sell really well. Now, the reason why I'm telling you about this one is this is in response to a message. Somebody went onto my shop, saw 2 pairs of trousers of the same size that he wanted, and he messaged me saying, can we combine the postage on this? Now, the answer to that question, if you ever get a question on that, the answer to this question is yes. Okay, of course you can. Of course you can combine the postage and put 2 in 1. And what you can do is you can then message them back and say, yeah. So in this case, both pairs of trousers I did for a tenner each, including postage, so 20 quid. All right. So I said, look, each one of my products has £3.60 postage on it. And even though I've just said Royal Mail have put their postage up to £3.50, I always, and all resellers do this, they add a little bit more onto their postage to like cover the cost of bags to post in, packaging, tape, bubble wrap, stuff like that. It's a pretty common practice. Now, he messaged me, I messaged him back, and I said, look, make me an offer for £6.40 for both pair of trousers, and I will accept. All right, £6.40 plus £3.60 is £10. Okay, times 2, 20 quid. All right. And then what I did on the actual postage, when I did the postage, I just clicked on one and did the postage for that, put both pairs of trousers in the bag. Okay. And then what you can do on the other pair of trousers, you might be thinking, well, you're not claiming the postage for that. Okay. Right. On the other pair of trousers, you can put it into your eBay system and you click on it, and then you click on the drop down menu, and then there's one option that says dispatched in by other means, and you just click on that. All right. So that's how you would deal with this sort of issue and this sort of problem. But yeah, so for both of these, all right, I do combine now, both of them. One cost me £4, one cost me £3. They were a pair of stone and olive chinos. Okay, so one was stone coloured, one was olive coloured, just a normal chino trouser. The stone one was £4, the olive one was £3, so £7 in all. As I said, 20 quid was offered to me, and I took that offer. So that was, after fees and postage, £13.39 back from that 20 quid, £6.39 profit, okay, which gave me, hey, 94. It's actually 94.5%, so we'll say 94. I'm happy with that. Yeah, so that last one was from a message, and there's another one from a message now as well. Somebody sent me a message on a nice pair of Columbia zip-off trousers that were there for walking. And I think this is a classic example of people using the products for a purpose. All right, walking trousers, hiking trousers have now been around for quite some time. Okay, I would say since the 70s, they began to actually manufacture garments for certain purposes. All right, so these were a really nice pair of Columbia walking trousers, and somebody messaged me saying that they were doing a charity walk, didn't have a pair of walking trousers. Would they accept an offer of such and such for these? And the offer that they came in with would have made me a profit. These have been on for about 2 months. So yeah, I'm going to take that. You'd be crazy not to. I even messaged him back with a better offer. Okay. And I said, look, and what you do is you basically make out that, look, they're a cracking pair of trousers. They're in really nice condition. That just goes to show that everything that I get, okay, I just showed you that cricket bat with a little bit of a defect on the bottom of it. That can be sorted. But if you're talking about trousers and stuff like this, if they got ribs and tears in, I don't put them on. Okay, I try and make sure that everything that I'm putting on is in good condition. It's the thing that I check for in the shop. Anyway, decent colour, decent brand, decent trousers. We came to a deal. All right. These were a nice Columbia pair of trousers. £4 I paid for them. Okay, £13.60 I sold them for. So the deal was a tenner. All right, £7.58 back after postage and fees, £3.58 profit, 89%. Yeah, it's between the 50 and 100. I will take that. Okay, it's a very, very good to have the target bracket. It is so important because it makes your decision as to whether you will accept the price even better, even more. Okay, there are some people that have messaged me back saying you're selling things too cheap. I don't believe I am. Okay, I believe that what I am doing is getting a decent price back for what I'm putting on my shop and then reinvesting those. I can't afford to leave things just on the shelf, just basically filling up the shelves. I want to get it in, I want to get it on, I want to get it gone as quickly as possible. Next up, another pair of M&S trousers, but these were nice because they were coloured. All right, I've mentioned this in the past as well. Yeah, you've got your greys, you've got your beiges, you've got your navy blues, you've got your blacks. These are sort of like typical colours for trousers. But if you find a pair that is a different colour, all right, they do sell and they do sell well. These were a nice rust red, okay, and sourced them for £4, sold them for £12.60. So not quite the £13.60. This was a £12.60 one. All right, £7.43 back after postage and fees, £3.43 profit, 85%. Okay, this is a bread and butter thing that you have running in the background. Okay, not huge profits, but these are quite easy to find. So they've got to be decent quality and the photographs have got to be decent, but if you get them on, they can really, really begin to contribute. And it is so important to have a decent listing process, one that is effective, efficient, but doesn't really take that much time. Okay, I would say that because I've got templates that I use to actually get these on, to measure, to photograph them, takes between about 8 and 10 minutes. All right, that gives you a sort of like an idea. So 8 to 10 minutes, okay, £3.43 profit. You're looking at roughly £15 an hour, okay, to keep these running in the background. But again, this is a side hustle. This is just money coming in from the side. And because you're learning about how to do eBay, you can then branch out into things like this and give information to other people about how to do it. So yeah, the money comes in different ways. Okay, but yeah, these trousers, get them, keep them ticking in the background. They're really, really good to just keep a bit of income coming in. Next up, these are a brand which I'm seeing coming in more and more, Dwyer's & Co. Dwyer's & Co. do good golf trousers. Haven't really seen them in like jumpers and polo shirts yet, but the trousers, they do a decent pair of trousers. These were a nice pair of check ones. Okay, paid a £5 for them. Okay, £13.60 I sold them for. £8.71 back after postage, £3.71 profit, 74%. In the bracket, happy days. And last but not least, all of these have fallen into the bracket, which I'm really pleased about. A grey XL Nike Tech fleece. These, you see all the teenagers wearing these. It's a very, very popular fleece or hoodie to wear. I sourced it for £9, sold it for £21.10. £14.19 back, £5.19 profit, 57%. So good. You could tell the Tech fleeces because they got like a little arm pocket as well, and they're slightly fleece lined inside. I would say £9 is quite high to actually source these from. All right, so a bit of education for you again. I'd say that's top. I'd say 10. Okay, you would then go below the target bracket if you sourced them for a tenner. So yeah, I would say 9 is probably the highest to source one of these. You can see what they look like because I've already put the photo on. Yeah, that's good. Right, so that's it for this week. As I say, it's been a good week. It's been a good week. And as I say, I'm quite excited to actually develop these 2 more income streams that I'm going to tell you about between now and Christmas, all right? Because that's really what I want the channel to be about, developing a side hustle with using eBay as its sort of like its core, but there are other ways of doing it, all right? eBay is certainly something that you should consider if you want to develop side hustles. You can go on YouTube, you can look at all of the people talking about developing side hustles, and nearly all of them mention having an eBay store. So it is a really, really good thing and a very, very strong thing to actually get started on. You know, look around your house, sell what you haven't got. That is obviously some sort of income stream that you can develop. Right. It has been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. In on and gone 69 next Sunday, hopefully. And I'm also developing more videos about tax. I'm jumping into that one, all right, because there's not many videos out there, but what I see is it generates comments, and my goodness, can you learn so much from those comments. So that is also something to look out for as well. Happy days. See you soon. Pleasure talking to you. This is Smithy out. Goodbye.